Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Paul. Today is Thursday, December the 17th, 2020. Adam Freeman coming to you once again from Quarantine Village here on the campus of Shea Freeman. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee, and my dog just walked in the room, so could be some shenanigans going on in here. But this was first day of finals for us, Paul, and since I was quarantined, we were giving them virtually anyway, so the only thing that changed was I was not able to go into school to supervise them online taking the final. So it really was not a big deal. First time we've ever done this, of course, first time for a lot of things this year. So so far, so good. Everybody was supposed to take a final today took it today, and we'll see if the same is true for tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Man, we're just wrapping up, like you are, wrapping up the semester tomorrow. Nothing beats a half day, right?
Hey.
In the teaching world.
That's in the teaching world and the student world, too. You remember those days back in the day? Well, I don't know how y'all did it over Lipscomb, but, it was a big deal. The buses run early, and you had to get – the big thing was you had to get your leave school at 11:30 note checked off and signed by your parents. You had to bring it in. Otherwise, you had to wait until 3:30 and sit in the cafeteria for 4 hours until 3:30 when the buses ran normally. So now they run buses at 11:30 for those kids and at 3:30, which is crazy. But yeah, you had to get a ride home at 11:30, and parents had to sign something. And if you didn't do that, man, you were stuck at school for another 4 hours. So you did anything you could to find anybody that could take you home in the middle of the day. But yeah, it was. It's been a unique situation today in this whole semester. So something hit yesterday, and of course, I was on our Twitter at D3Sports. We encourage everybody to follow our Twitter at D3Sports. That's DTHRU Sports. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul, and check out all of our episodes on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeart, and Spotify, and follow us on all those platforms. But, I was quarantined. I was bored. And what do you do when you're bored and quarantined? You get on Twitter. Right? And when you get on Twitter, the first thing that popped up was the ESPN tweet about Giannis's contract. And I don't know, man, just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I thought I'd just shoot something out there and just basically say how I felt about one guy making $193 a second for every time he plays on the court. He's making $193 a second, Paul. That's like $11,000 a quarter or something like that. It was insane. It was like the numbers are just, they broke down the numbers on it. And I was just like, how is this?
Well, yeah. I knew you were getting involved in something when I was, obviously we shared the Twitter account login information, and I started getting these notifications. I thought, oh, this is interesting. I saw you reply to a certain person, and so people did take your response to Milwaukee's best.
Yeah, I'm like, and I'm wondering who these people are, like, because nobody makes that much money, nobody that I know. And I get being happy for the guy that he can make a living, but come on, $228 million over 5 years. That's $11,600 a minute. That's $139,000 a quarter. That's $556,000 a game, which is $45.5 million a year. Come on. At some point, this is just, it's already out of control. And, I guess it kind of started probably in the 90s. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. I was actually surprised that what seemed like regular people were taking up for this contract, and not necessarily Giannis. It has nothing to do with him. There's tons of guys that are making similar money, making $40+ million a year. But I mean, it's like there have to be some like regular Joes like me and you that are paycheck to paycheck working for a living, and I didn't expect people to take up for this dude or the money.
Well, I'm sure they lived in Milwaukee. A-Rod's contract signing was probably the one that took me, back in the day, right, when we realized, oh my goodness, these athletes are getting paid like ridiculous money. Second thing I would say about this whole contract is this: it's going to be sad when Giannis does not will win this many titles at zero titles, and all that money is just going to be, yeah, I know people are going to say, hey, he's good for marketing, he's good for sales, but listen, depending on how long this COVID, situation goes, and as far as crowd goes, you better find a return on your money somehow, some way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, you get a guy saying, yes, we got this good player, blah, blah, blah. And, he's going to put fans in the seats. Well, there might not be any fans in the seats. So where's your revenue coming from? So that, there's a lot of, sort of, I guess, wait and see type attitude. But I was just surprised at the vitriol that everyone spewed upon me for making just a basic statement that nobody needs this much money. That's basically all I was saying. And then some dude from Milwaukee chimed in, and I had to wear him out. He goes, they're not comparable. And he said, I was comparing it to, I had a tweet on my Hawaii Nation Sports that that if you check out that one, that's at Hawaii Nation SB, where I basically had Giannis's numbers, and then I basically had below it, I was like, meanwhile, and it was a picture of a guy with a squeegee trying to push the water back in the ocean. It said, meanwhile, this is what teachers are doing with their normal everyday workload, and not getting paid what they deserve, compared with what they're having to put up with in this new environment. But and my response to him was, he was a big Milwaukee guy, obviously, and he was basically telling me, he said, hey, they're not comparable. You can't compare teachers to pro athletes and their salaries. You're comparing a private business to public schools that get their funding from the government. Okay, so my response to this Brewers fan was, maybe the Brewers should try government funding. They might have better results. So that shut him up pretty quickly. I didn't get a response from him. But anyway, these guys are going to continue to get big contracts. I'm actually surprised that in the revenue, because it's still the TV revenue that drives everything, that with not having any fans, that these teams aren't losing money. But I am not concerned if they do. Speaking of, we're going to get into a little bit of some football here. I kind of changed this. I was going to talk about James Harden, want to get traded, and I really don't care about James Harden. So we're going to make a little pivot here, a little 2020 pivot, the most used word in 2020. But bad beats, Brees, and I happened to think about the Ravens Browns the other night. Did you happen to catch the end of that? Scotty.
All right. Say it again. I'm sorry. Something was freezing up.
All right. Did you happen to catch the
bad beats?
We're on our bad beats. Did you happen to catch the end of the Ravens Browns game?
Yes. Completely saw it. Yes.
And it was -3, right?
100%.
Uh-huh. And of course, I'm thinking it's tied. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out these scenarios where I can come out ahead. And I'm thinking they got one of the best field goal kickers in the world. And sure enough, he comes down and drills a 55-yard field goal, and it doesn't take up all the time. So you get 2 seconds left. So then the Browns try the old Cal Stanford lateral at 12. I don't know how many times they lateral it. It was they were more successful laterals on that particular play than I've seen in a long time. And then finally, there was only one guy behind the entire team, so they had the lateral to him, and he was in the end zone. He got tackled, which made it 5 points instead of 3. That was actually a good beat if you were me, bad beat if you were probably Vegas or FanDuel or something. But any other bad? What's your worst bad beat?
There was a college basketball game the other day that happened. I had the under, and a guy hits one at the buzzer to take it to the over. That's a harsh one, right?
Still the old backdoor.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate of basketball for sure. But when you talked about the bad beat, FanDuel and DraftKings, BetMGM, none of these are paid sponsors of Drop Through Sports with Adam and Paul. But we will mention that legalized gambling in Tennessee are happening, and they did. 2 of them that I know of returned money to those bettors that had the Browns with the spread. So
really,
yeah, yep.
Huh?
So they gave them their money back. They just
mighty gracious.
Yeah, it's like a voided bet. So
wow.
Very good for them, I guess. That's
a bunch of nice guys. Nice guys.
Listen, and speaking of nice
Powerade, the official Mountain Blast Powerade, the official drink of Drive Through Sports with Adam.
There you go. I've got to tell you this. Every once in a while, DraftKings, FanDuel, they have what they call a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
We've witnessed it a couple of times with people betting. For instance, at Vanderbilt, everybody that bets on Vandy, their spread goes a point their way after like 500 people. It pushes it a point up to where, in fact, I think 1 week it was like 95. I mean, it was ridiculous. I think last week it was Derrick Henry gains half a yard. So this week, the NBA, the opening, is it the opening weekend coming up? I think there are 4 teams playing.
Yeah.
It's a plus 75. Plus 75, pick your team. So I took the Lakers plus 75. So unless the Lakers lose by 76 points, I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape.
Wow. That's the type of stuff you need to alert me to.
Well, you can only bet it once, and as your connection, I'm going to take full advantage of it to keep the account afloat.
That's funny. All right. Well, big weekend. Talk about NBA weekend, which we're not going to really talk about. We're going to talk about championship weekend. You got ACC championship, SEC championship, which is the real game, and the Big Ten championship, which is I don't think anybody cares about because what the spread is in that game, but it's got to be huge, I would think. Ohio State, Northwestern. Who you got? First of all, what do you think is going to be the most intriguing game of the weekend, and who you got in the rest?
Well, obviously the ACC rematch, right, of Notre Dame and Clemson.
Yeah,
is going to definitely attract the most attention. I think the SEC is kind of a foregone conclusion. Alabama is just going to roll Florida. I
think they're 2 touchdown favorites, I believe.
And I think Ohio State's about a 20-point favorite over North.
And they should be. I mean, Ohio State is going to absolutely obliterate.
Yeah.
Northwestern. Justin Fields is going to run wild. Justin Fields, Harrison graduate, class of 2018, graduated with my daughter. Actually, they were in the same homeroom together for all 4 years. And
wow.
Yep, and of course, both originally went to Georgia.
Is that because of the last name?
Yep, they do have a last name. Yep. So I see him having a huge game. I'm thinking he throws for 4, runs for 1. I think they're going to score 50 plus on these guys because I think they may, and he may feel, and Ohio State may feel that they've got to. This has to be extremely convincing, since it's only their 6th game. But to me, they're in the playoff.
Right.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that they deserve to be in the playoff. They're talented enough. They are one of the top 4 teams in the land. If they played a full season, whether it's 8 games, 10 games, they go undefeated. I mean, I think that's just what I believe with the talent level that they have and the guys they have on their roster. With Justin under center and the weapons that he has, and the running game and their defense, everything. I obviously love Ohio State this weekend over Northwestern. Big. And as far as the most intriguing game, as you said, Clemson versus Notre Dame. Trevor Lawrence grew up right up the road here in Cartersville, Georgia. Went to Cartersville High School. It's about 15 minutes from me. So I'm a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I'm rooting for him too. And Clemson, Dabo Swinney. I like Dabo Swinney a lot. And I will never root for Notre Dame. I do not like Notre Dame in any sport, pinochle, checkers, chess, field hockey, whatever it is. I'm not rooting for Notre Dame. So I got Notre Dame, and I got Clemson, I got Ohio State, and then Alabama. I think Alabama, Mac Jones is probably the front runner for the Heisman right now. And I think they easily cover that game against Florida. I just don't know how Dan Mullen and his guys get over what happened to them on Saturday and focus on Alabama after they had a chance to go to the playoff if they beat Alabama. Now, if they beat Alabama, they're still not going.
No.
So, it's going to be a great weekend of football, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it, especially if your team wins and you're on the winning side. Well, speaking of playoffs, NFL playoff picture, it's sort of starting to come into view. The Ravens had to have that game the other night, right, Brees?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because they're 7-5 going in. Cleveland was 9-3. They had to have that game. That puts them at 8-5. And that's a tough division. To try and get hold of, and they're still looking up at a couple teams, and but Pittsburgh is looking very flawed right now. KC is still the best team. They're the best team, I think, in the league, AFC, NFC. Green Bay is probably a close second. New Orleans got exposed this weekend, and then you've got the Titans, who are there at 9-4, right there along with Cleveland. So, which do you think, AFC or NFC? Which do you think is the deeper league?
It's 100% the AFC. I mean, there's no question. I mean, you're talking about an AFC North division, back just a few years ago, where it was I wouldn't say a clown show, but it was just like, whatever, Steelers, okay. I mean, dude, you got 3 teams realistically could make the playoffs out of there, and the AFC East has now become kind of the laughing stock of the whole thing. But the whole thing is so deep, and and I've got to provide you this point, Adam. I don't know if you've been watching the Thursday night game just now.
No, I have not. What's going on? Am I getting run here?
Well, no. Well, if you're a Raiders fan, you should be just thoroughly ecstatic.
All right.
I will tell you this reason why. Derek Carr, the quarterback for the Raiders, is questionable to return. The backup has come into the game. His name is one other than Marcus Mariota, former Tennessee Titan great. He marches him down the field, touchdown, simple. And, I mean, the Chargers have no clue how to stop him because they're running the read option. And he's just – listen, if you before the game had Mariota carrying the ball for – or even playing for that matter. But, I mean, he is running rampant all over the Chargers as they're trying to figure out what to do. I'm sure at halftime the Chargers are going to have to revamp their defensive game plan because Mariota looks like a quarterback that's, definitely revitalized. He's
as long as he keeps targeting Darren Waller.
Well, touchdown, right? Tight end.
I know. Yeah.
So
I need about 20 more.
Okay, so my playoff predictions are
because there's 7 right now.
Yeah, that's correct. 7. And here's the deal: as much as you and I, Titans pushing it. I tell you what, they're still handicapped on the defensive end, up front, not providing enough pass rush to help their secondary and the linebackers cover down the field, and it is a disaster waiting to happen if they have to face a quarterback that can sling the ball around, right?
Right.
Luckily, this week they played the Detroit Lions, and in a normal circumstance, I would think, oh man, we're in trouble. Matt Stafford, questionable rib injury.
I know he's not going to play. I had to sub him in on my fantasy team. I had to sub in Teddy Bridgewater.
And
fantasy guy now.
And more importantly, the starting center for Detroit Lions fractured throat. I have no idea what that is. As you
listen,
a sports injury guy, can you provide me the information of what a fractured throat is?
Okay, there is a bone in front of your trachea. It's called the hyoid bone, and it typically, if someone, like, I'm a big CSI fan, CSI, the TV show. All right, so whenever someone is strangled to death, that bone is always fractured. Okay. It's just a little bone. It looks like
You're saying it will never grow back together.
No, I mean it probably will, but I mean, like, it's the fact that it's fractured. It's a very small bone that just kind of wraps around the front of the trachea, not all the way around. It's kind of like a little guard. But when someone is strangled, it will always fracture. So somebody probably throat punched him and it broke. Yeah. And I mean, he played the entire rest of the game with it, so it's one of those deals where, I mean, you can play with it. I mean, he may play this week, but I don't know who he's going to be snapping it to. But yeah.
So are you able to communicate with a fractured throat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, apparently that was the big question, was that, like, the guards were having to make the verbal adjustments on the offensive line at the end of the game last week. So interesting. One of the first things I've never heard, or one of the few things I've never heard before, a fractured throat. Last thing about NFL, Super Bowl prediction. I know we're probably going to do it, but I'm going to say it now. We'll probably do it later as the game or as the playoffs get closer. But I'm going Packers Chiefs. There you go, laying it out there.
That's a Super Bowl 3 rematch, right?
Old school.
Yeah, I mean, playoffs for me. I mean, obviously you're going to go with the Chiefs. They got just enough defense. They got tons of offense. Not I think they're going to have no problem with the AFC, winning the AFC, and NFC. I mean, want to say Packers. I really do. I probably will, just because I don't know when Drew Brees comes back, what's he going to be like, and what's their offense going to be like because of that. And also, man, they've got the worst luck in the playoffs the last 3 years. So I just don't. Their defense is great, but I just don't. I don't know. I just don't know what their offense is going to look like and what Brees is going to look like health wise. All right, so big matchup in the NFL this weekend. You got Miami against New England. That's Tua against Cam. So who you got? Tua versus Cam.
Well, if we're talking about quarterback play,
we're talking about quarterback play.
I would take Tua in a heartbeat.
We're talking about fantasy. If you could pick, those guys on your fantasy team this week only.
Cam's going to give you nothing in the passing game. He's going to provide you very little on the touchdown situation. Listen, Miami is in a much-needed win situation right here. Yep. I mean, like, desperate.
Well, they're 8-5, right? They're 8-5.
Yeah. And the Pats. I mean, obviously, it's a very key game, right? The Pats need it too, but I think
if New England wins, they're tied with Miami at 8-6.
Right.
So
I mean, this is the one game that it probably is one of the bigger games in the NFL this week. So
yeah, absolutely. And plus, it's more intriguing because of the two guys under center. I got Tua again. He just seems to make plays wherever he goes. I mean, he's clutch, and he's a better thrower of the football, and that's what this league is about. So I've definitely got Tua. And I'd probably take the Dolphins too as a team to win this game. All right, so next thing, I got Charlie Axel Woods. You seen this kid swing a club?
I did see for the first time today. Yes.
Wow. I mean, it is literally. I mean, it's just a picture. It's like you could overlap Tiger and Charlie's swings. Overlap their bodies, they're like identical. Same tempo, everything. It's amazing. And the kid's what, like 9, 10 years old, maybe. It's just remarkable. If you haven't seen the video, you got to go check it out. On
hey, let's give it up for Tiger naming his kid Charlie Axel, man. That's solid.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, did he name him after Axl Rose?
I don't know who the name is after.
Maybe after Axel Spins.
Yeah. So this guy is Charlie Axel Woods. 11 years old. The guy you talked about as far as the setup.
It's identical.
Full shot. The tempo, the swing is scary when it comes to identical to. As we would term it here in the South, your old man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it is. And just seeing them out on the driving range together is kind of cool, just to see that. But yeah, man, pretty cool. And I mean, think about this. You're Tiger Woods' kid. You doggone better be good at golf, right? I mean, there's no pressure. There's no pressure there, right?
No. Now, that, Tiger has another, his other child, a 13-year-old daughter. And now I'm really getting confused because I didn't know her middle name. So Charlie Axel Woods' his son, Sam Alexis Woods is her.
I got you.
So there's got to be something in the.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
I'm just letting you know that's. I'm not. I did a thing with my own kids. I named every kid in my that I have is 6 letters. Their first name is 6 letters.
So that was planned?
Well, we got to the point where it's like, you know what? I didn't realize it, but the first 3 had 6 letters. I was like, let's just keep going. So their middle name is what, right? Is, a lot of people choose the middle name as the one that's represents a family named after somebody.
Well, I mean, that's mine. My middle name is Reed, Reed. So that was my mother's middle name. In fact, didn't even have a middle name until I was 7. I was just straight up Adam Freeman, dude. That's me. No.
You know what? I've run into people that they, when I say, hey, what's your middle name? They're like, don't have one. Like, what? Or the better one is, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, that's the better. That's usually the one you get. I always get asked, and I always just like, well, if you guess it, I'll tell you. And it's just funny. It's just funny when people try, they guess crazy stuff. And so they're like, give me a hint. I said, okay, it starts with that says 4 letters. And then that just makes them more confused. Somebody said, when I asked that question and I told them it was 4 letters, says your middle name Adam too? No, my middle name is not Adam also. No, Adam Freeman. No, that's not what it is. Not what it is. But that gets us to, we talk about, a lot of things sports wise. That's what it's all about, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. But as you and I know, we've come to love the final segment of the show, and that is the human interest side of Drive Through Sports, which I think everybody really likes to get a little bit of a listen to. The one, since it's the holiday season, I thought I'd throw this out there, Brees. Best Christmas gift ever. And this is probably going to be tough because I'm still mulling it over in my head. Best Christmas gift ever.
It is a tough one for sure. Obviously the easiest one would, there was a bicycle, right? That was involved. Always wanted the bicycle. But the one year I got a racetrack. Remember, you put the car.
Oh yeah.
You had the.
Oh yeah.
And this one had like loops. Or something that went up the side. It went like a horseshoe on
the wall.
It was ridiculous.
It went a horseshoe on the wall, like it.
Yeah.
Went the wall back down. Oh yeah.
I thought, man, and I think back then when we watched commercials for toy commercials, right? It's a lot different nowadays. But when you watch a commercial, you were like, holy mackerel, that is awesome. You're like, and you would have to grab your mom or and say, hey, I need you to watch this commercial because this is what I want.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't try to explain it to them right at our age.
No.
And they would be like, what are you talking about?
No.
I mean, you'd have to be at the right place at the right time, or you would have to look at it through a Sears catalog, a service merchandise catalog. People are listening to this and thinking either, yes, I know what you're talking about, or what's a catalog, right?
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't wait to get the service merchandise catalog and start circling stuff. I mean, for me growing up, I go straight to the, the Star Wars section and just start circling everything I could see, find, whatever.
100%.
And so I mean, it is different now, obviously. There's a couple things that come to mind for me. And there's a picture of me somewhere with this gift. I think it's me and my sister and my grandmother and grandfather, because I got it over at their house. It was from Santa Claus, and I got it at their house. We lived up the street from them, and we would open our gifts at our house, and we walk down there and open our gifts from when Santa visited us at their house. And so when I was 4, I got a Batman pedal car, a Batmobile pedal car. All right. So there's a picture of me sitting in this Batmobile pedal car. It's blue. It's got the decal on the side. It's got the fin on the back. The steering wheel is shaped like a bat, and it's black. And there's a picture of me sitting in the Batmobile wearing, get this, now you know this because you probably had one of these too, child of the 70s / early 80s, but really child of the 70s, because this would have been 75, 76. Picture me sitting in the Batmobile wearing my Detroit Lions winter coat. You know, it was like a Detroit Lions leather jacket.
Yeah.
Had the Lions logo.
Nice.
Silver sleeves with the cuffed sleeve, you know, with the gathered sleeves. They were silver, and then the jacket itself was that Detroit Lion blue, and then it had the silver buttons on it, and then it had the gather at the bottom. And I think I even had a Detroit Lions stocking cap on. And for some reason I didn't get the Detroit Lion gloves. I got Bugs Bunny mittens.
Oh, I love it.
So it was, but I remember, and I'm sure my grandmother has this picture still, or my parents still have this picture. But I'm sitting there in their den, and just a big old grin on my face. But that I remember, and probably the second biggest thing, probably the biggest surprise gift that we got a dog when I was 9, Great Dane. He was enormous. I don't know if you probably remember. Well, I don't know if you probably met our other Great Dane. I know you did.
Yeah.
Abe, I think, is the one you knew. This was Duke.
Yep.
I don't think you ever met Duke. Duke was about 175 pounds. He got hit by a car, but they were keeping him in my grandparents' garage while we were opening gifts, and we could hear something going on. And then that was at the very end. My dad was like, "We got one more thing. Come on back here." So it was like a big surprise. Nobody knew we were getting it, and so that was probably the biggest surprise. But probably my favorite gift ever was the Batmobile. When I was 4 years old, I remember getting the Batmobile.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was a pretty big deal. But of course, you know, when you're 4 superheroes, that's like the gig, man. That's everything.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed this episode of Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Encourage you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter at D3Sports, and also on all of our listening platforms of this podcast: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, and Spotify. For Paul Brees in Brentwood, Tennessee, Adam Freeman in Atlanta, Georgia, you're listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.